Okay, so in this session, we are going to discuss about the client lips. So first of all, if you want to write the CSS and the JS code in your AEM, then we have a way to use the client lips. That means we need to use the client library for CSS and the JS. So if you want to manage or the organize the structures, okay, you want to add the CSS and the JSS in your Adobe or in your AEM, then we need to use the client libs. So client lib is just simple and node only. Okay, so this is the node type. So if you want to create a client libs, you need to create this. This is the node type. Okay, here we need to select this and you need to create the client libs. How we can create a client lib? Firstly, you need to create a node. Okay, once you will create the node, you have to select this one, that is CQ client library folder. This is the thing we need to select. After that, why we are creating this client library for the CSS and the JS, right? So we need to create the CSS and the JS folder. Not only this, but if you want to store the resources as well, that means some images, some thumbnail or something, then you can create one folder that is resources and store it. After that, this is the CSS, right? This is the CSS. Inside this CSS, you will store the file just like a sample.css, okay, style.css. So these types of you will store inside this folder. The same thing for the JS as well. Same thing for the JS. So like this way we'll store, but inside that we'll store the JS extension. Like this way we'll store. Okay, so firstly we have created the CSS, JS folder and the resources. Here we'll add the images or something, thumbnails. Okay, but the thing is, like when you will create the CSS or the JSS file, we need to execute. Okay, and we know that in our CRXD we have a Sling who is responsible to execute everything, right? So if here now consider we have 1,000 files inside this folder. Now which file you want to execute? So whatever you want to execute, you need to add inside this js.txt. That's it. So firstly, now you want to execute the sample.js. So inside this js, you need to add the entry that is sample.js. So this is the file it will execute at the first. Got it? Not only the JS. Here I said like we use a CS, we use a client library for the CSS and the JS. Without client library also you can do that work. Okay, you can use simplest traditional way. Here you see, you can create a HTML head and you can just add the CSS. So this is the bootstrap CSS we have added, right? So this is what CSS file we have added by using a link tab. Link tag we have added the CSS. Just like that, if you want to add the JSS, you need to use this script tag, right? Script open, script close. So like this way we need to use, right? But the thing is, now consider this one is your home.html page, right? This one is your home.html page and this is the HTML you have written. And after that, now maybe we have 100 css file we have. So each file we need to include here, each and individual file we need to define like this by using this link tag. Okay, this is the drawback. Okay, second thing, so here maybe this is the css file. We maybe here we have two css, right? bootstrap.theme.min.css. Okay, so this is the file we need to load first. Which one? This bootstrap.min.css before your bootstrap.theme.min.css. Why? Because this is the file is dependent on this bootstrap.min. Okay, so this is the file you need to load before your this CSS file. Okay, so this is the thing we need to take care manually. We can say this is the dependency we have to take care manually. Manually we need to write all these steps. Okay, and when you will just when you will try to access this home.html, that time what it will happen, it will send the request for this CSS as well. This is the first request. It will send the request for this CSS, that means this bootstrap CSS. It will send the request for this JSS as well. So maybe now in this case we have only 3 files, maybe we have 1,000 files, so 1,000 times we have to send the request, and this is not a good. Okay, so instead of that they have introduced the concept of client libs. Now just come here. Here we have, this is the v detail, right? You can create anywhere. Okay, so here this is the out of the box. Here only I'm creating the client lips. Now I'm just showing how we can create it. Okay, just simply right click here, create. We need to create the node, but we know that we have a type, right? Here I'm just defining the client library name. Client libs A I have defined. Okay, this is the client libs A, and here we need to define CQ client library folder. That's it. Now you have created the client libs. Okay, well, now we know that why we use the client libs for managing the CSS and the JS. We are managing in a standard manner. Now here you see. So here I just simply creating a folder that is CSS. It's for the CSS now. Again I'm creating here JS. So this one is for the JS. Now consider here you are not creating the project folders and directly you are adding the files. Then it's complicated to recognize which one is the CSS and which one is the JS. So just simply just do one thing, create a folder. Now here I'm creating a folder for the JS as well. Got it? Now the thing is create inside this CSS. What is that? CSS, right? So here I only create the CSS file. So I'm just right clicking, create a file, and here I'm just simply mentioning sample.css. Okay, just like that. Here in the JS, I'm just mentioning create sample.js. Okay, here you can write the code, you can write anything. So here maybe we have one ID, there is a color, we need in a red format, right? Just like that, here also I'm writing, defining, come here, define here console.log and just print hello. Now save the changes. Now what we have done here, we have created one client libs. For that we have created two folders, and inside that we have created the respective files. Just like that, for the CSS we have created the CSS, and for the JS we have created this JS, right? Now the thing is it won't execute because your sling always come in your txt file, text file. So here we need to define for the CSS, we need to define css.txt, and for the JS we need to define js.txt. Then only it will execute, otherwise it won't. Now here I'm just clicking, just simply click, copy this, come here, localhost. Here you need to paste, remove this. Here now what you want to execute, now in this case I need to execute the JS, hit enter. Okay, so here what we have done, see this is our client libs. Okay, and from this client libs I need the JS file. Okay, I need the JS. So if I hitting enter, I am getting a not found. Why? Because the firstly your sling will go inside the js.txt. So here we need to create the js.txt, js.txt, and here we need to write the entries which file you want to include. So I need a sample.css. Okay, this, sorry, not a sample.css. Inside the JS we need to add the JS file. Okay, here I just inside this js.txt I'm going, and here I'm just defining a sample.js. Okay, but now where is this file, where this file it has stored? This is the file it has stored inside your JS. So we need to mention the directory. So it has stored inside the JS. Now save it. Now go there. Again just try to refresh it. See, in this case you got it. Here you see what we are doing. So this is the client library, and now we have created the JS. JS is nothing but this. So your sling will come inside this js.txt. It will start execute. It will see this folder structure exists. Yes, this is the JS and the sample.js. It will execute. Again you can create another files, script.js. Okay, here you can define the variable. Here we have 29, this is the var2 b, here also we have 39. Okay, and simply we are adding this to console.log a plus b. This is the JS code. Okay, now this is the code we have. Again you can go there and try to refresh it. This time it won't execute. Why? Because we haven't defined the entry. We need to define, right? We have created, no, we need to define JS, and after that here we have a script.js. Save the changes. But is it important to define every time the JS? Now we have only two files, but consider we have a 50 or 60 files. So every time we need to define the JS? No. You can simply do one thing. Here you can define hash base is equals to JS. So we are simply mentioning all our file it has stored inside this JS. Remove this. Save the changes. Come here and try to refresh now. We are not getting anything. Something went wrong. Do I define something wrong here? Base is equals to JS, right? Save the changes. Come here. Try to refresh it. Yeah, we got it. See, another thing is here it is sending only one request. There is no need to send the request multiple times. Only one request we are sending, that is this one, right? So it will send only one request, that is JS, and automatically all your file it will load. So here you see, for this is the first file, console.log, and this is the second file, right? If you are creating a third file, the same process it will happen. Just create sample2.js. Same code you can copy, paste it here, not this. Yeah, this time we'll do the minus. Save the changes, come here and refresh it. Again it's not coming, but why? Because we need to add the entry js.txt script 2.js. Yeah, sample2.js, right? Come here and try to refresh it. See, again another things, like whatever you are mentioning at the first will execute. Okay, no, it maintains the precedence, it maintains the priority. Like whatever you are mentioning at the first will execute. Exactly. Okay, save the changes. This is done now. Okay, now whatever you have defined, how we can call it, how we can call all these things. So we have a lot of options. So firstly, if you are using the, where it is, we have defined no somewhere. Yeah, so if you are using a JSP, here we have one tag. Nowadays we are not using a JSP, mostly we'll use the core component. So that's why we need to use the extension, that is HTML, right? Inside the HTML we use the sitely code, right? So here if you want to use in the in the JSP, you want to load your client library, whatever the code you have defined it, you want to load it, then you need to use this CQ client libs. This is the tag we have, and here you need to mention the categories and your category name. Now here I'll tell you, here we have one path to see the client libs. Here you see, here if you want to see the client libs or dependencies, then you have to go inside this path and you need to search it. Come here and simply paste it. This many of client libs we have. See, this many of client lib we have. Now the question is, like inside this CRXD we have a lot of client libraries. Here you see, this many of client libraries we have. How we can call it? Now how we can call? So we need to define the name, right? We need to define the name, and this is nothing but your categories. Okay, so they have created one property, that means they have created one property for the client library. If you want to define the name, then you have to use the categories. Simply this is the category we need to use. Once you are using this category, it should be in multi. Maybe you can add more than one category. Okay, so it should be in the multi, and after that you need to define your name. So client leaves one, here I'm just defining and simply add it. That's it. This is the name you have defined for your client library, right? Now if you want to call it, if you want to call this client library whatever the CSS and the JS or anything you have defined it. You want to call it. For that, what you have to do, here you need to mention your name. For the JSP, you need to use this. This is the tag CQ client libs, and after that category, and this is your name of your client library. In the sitely, here we use this tags. This is the sitely tag. We can call it, that is data fly use. It is responsible to create the variable. Okay, so here we have created one variable, and already all the script they have defined it. If you want to load the CSS, JS, and both CSS and the JS, they have already defined the code. You can simply use it. Okay, so the same thing here, they have defined the code. Now we need to create the object we have created. Okay, and from this object we are simply loading all that means you are loading CSS and you are loading the JS as well. If you want to load only the JS, you need to define here JS. If you want to load the CSS, here you have to define the JS CSS, and if you want both, here you can define all. That's it. And in the right hand side, here you need, see, this one is a common, this one is a common. Okay, but the thing is, you will see the changes in this category. That's it. Okay, so whatever the name of your client lives, the same thing you need to mention here. That's it. So this is the way you can call inside your sitely, and here this is the JSP. Okay, now here we can call as a component level. We have a two ways to call a client libs. You can call as a component level, and you can call as a page level. Now I'll tell you. Maybe somewhere I have created the component. This is the demo component. Consider this is our demo component, and here we have a demo component.html. Right, here we have this one. Okay, simply you can come here and paste it, not this one. Whatever the code we have copied, now this is the code. Just simply copy, come here and paste it. See, so what we have done here, you see, here we have one component. Now I'll tell you where we have created the client library. Here, right? Not, oh, here we have created the client libs. We need to create inside this client libs. Okay, so just simply drag and drop it. It's not created. Okay, so here we have created. So here you see, so whenever you will create the project, directly automatically one folder it has created, that is client lib, and it holds all the client lib. So this is called as a global level client library. This is what? Global level client library. We have a two types of client library: global level and component level. So here you see, here I have one component, and I have created the client library, and this client library is related to the component level because I have created inside the component. That's it. Okay, and after that, this is the global level client library. Here you see, this is the client library. I need to call inside this component. In this component I need to call. So where is the HTML file? Yeah, this one. Here you need to load this code. That's it. Yeah, this is the code you need to load, and what we have to change, this is the category. What is the name of our category? Come here. Okay, simply open the properties. Here you need to open, what is the category? Yeah, client lib 1. You just simply need to copy, come here, and here instead of this you need to paste this one. That's it. In this way we can load our category. Sorry, in this way we loads our client library. So this is the first way. Now we'll follow the second way directly. Just let me delete this. Okay, now directly you can load it as a page level. So now you need to go inside the page. If you want to load the category as a page level, you just simply need to go in the page. Now here I need to load it. Now click here. Yeah, here we need to click, and we have to open the editable template. After that, again you need to click here and open the policy, and there you need to paste your category. That's it. Here we have already discussed in the experience fragment, right? In the editable template also we have discussed it. Now we have created the client libs, that is this one. Where is our client libs? This one, right? This is the name. You can simply copy. Yeah, this one. You need to come here and paste it. See, this is the client library we have. Now simply save it. Okay, so basically we have saved that client library. Now go in the preview and refresh it once. Which one is our? This one, no? Okay, so this one is ours. Now try to refresh it. We have loaded, right? We have loaded here our client library. Now we just simply need to refresh it. Go inside the preview mode and just try to inspect it. Not inspect, just simply open the paste source code. Okay, so here I'm just opening the page. Now what's the name of our client libs? Control F, client libs, one something. Refresh it once. Here we have added. Let me cross check it. Yeah, we have added. That is nice. We must publish. It will look like this. View paste source. What is the name of our client libs? Client. Client lib is something. Okay, that's okay. Okay, so we'll see another dependency. Okay, so it's not loading, no? Yeah. So we'll do one thing. Here we have another client library, and that is, what is the name of this client library? We retail site, right? Now this is the client library. Consider this is our client library, okay? And this is the client library is dependent on this client libs sites. Okay, so we need to load this is the client library before our current. How we can do that thing? So here we have another property. We just simply need to click here, and after that dependencies. Dependencies, click multi, and what is the name of our client libs? There is a thing you need to copy. Simply copy. Okay, here we need no. Just simply paste it here. Otherwise, our client library is not loading, right? So why we are doing this? We'll do one thing. Here we have defined the categories. Categories name is right now. Okay. Here we'll add dependencies, and this is the name we'll add, that is Clientlibs 1. Inside this, paste it and simply add. That's done. Now what it will happen? Firstly, this is the client library will load, and after that your current client library. So this is the client lib base. We need to load this one. Copy this, page policy. Here you need to come, delete this, paste it. This is the client library we need, and save. We need to refresh this. This is the page. Okay, just simply view as publish, how it's look, and after that here view page source code. What is the name of our client library now? This one is loading from different sites. This client lib base, it has loaded, I think so. Client lib site. This is a client lib site, right? Client lib site. What is the name? This is the client lib site as well. Where is the page source? Yeah. This is the client lib site, it has loaded, I think so. Which one is ours? I think we have something wrong in our client libs. Okay, we did something wrong. Category, that is okay. Category, this is also okay, no? Desktop, copy this. Okay, save the changes. CSS. Oh, it won't load the CSS. Why? Because here we haven't defined the CSS, right? So here inside this, we knows that. So if you want to execute your client libs, firstly your sling will come inside the css.txt, right? But we don't have a css.txt here, but we have a js.txt. Okay, so js it should be load. Okay, we'll create the css as well. css.txt. Save the changes. That's it. Sample. This sample it has stored inside this sample.css. Save the changes. Now this one is done. Here we have a client library desktop. Copy this. Again, we need to go inside the editable template. Editable template, I think it's not open, no? Yeah, it has open already. Policy. Come here and try to paste it. This page is done. name of our client lib essay. Not there. Okay, that's okay. We'll take out of the box. Our client lib is not working, but here we have a client sites, right? What is the name of this? V retail site. It needs to be load no. Okay, do we have? Just open this here. Which one we have loaded now? What is the client library I have loaded? Yeah, client lib desktop no. It's not there. Client lib sites, client lib essay. It should be load. Okay, it's not loading. I don't know why. But we have written all these things right now. Okay. Yeah. Here we have a allow proxy. See. So here we have a allow proxy annotations. There is a allow proxy annotation and it accepts the value that is true and false. Allow proxy. Here it will accept the boolean value and here you need to define true otherwise false. So when you will define the true, see basically it's for the security purpose. This is allow proxy properties for the security purpose. Now consider now all the time when we will create the project inside the apps, right? So all the request it is going from the apps only, right? So the thing is, but when client when browser or the client will try to send the request from the apps, then dispatcher will block this request. Why? Because all our data where it is stored inside the apps only. Okay, so that's why dispatcher block the request. Okay, so in this case allow proxy will use the allow proxy property. So what it will does, So whatever the request it has coming from the apps, so this is the request, it will convert into an etc folder, and inside the etc folder we know that we have a extra tools, that's it. So from these apps it will convert to this etc folder. Okay, got it. And after that here we have a dependencies. Now the thing is, now consider here you have a client library 1 and here you have a client library 2. Okay, now in this client library 2 we are using the code of this client library 1. So this is the client library 1 we need to load before your client library 2. Got it? Didn't get? No. Okay, now consider here client library 1. Now this is the client library 1 where I have loaded, that means I am using inside this client library 2, right? But we need to load this one. Otherwise consider this is the client library, it has loaded before your client library 1. Now it will try to execute this part and it will search where is this client library, it's not loaded, so it will throws the error. So before that, because of that reason only, firstly we need to load the client library 1 and then client library 2. So this is called as a dependency. So if this client library 2 is dependent on this client library 1, then we have to use the dependencies. We have to use the dependencies and it should be in the array. It should be in the array. So here we have array is nothing but the multi only. And another thing, now what it is doing inside this dependency, it is loading before your current client library. So this is your current client library. It is loading before your current. Here we have another property, that is embed. Okay, what this property does? So again, consider here we have client library 1 and here we have a client library 2. Okay, now this is the client library is dependent on our client library 1. Okay, so when you use the embed property inside that, what it will happen, this is the entire client library, it will add inside your client library 2. That's it. So this is the client library 1, it will add inside this client library 2 by using this embed. And by using these dependencies, this is the client library, load your before your client library 2. Got it? I have one example. Here you see. This is the EN page. We don't want EN. Yeah. So here you see I have one component, that is demo component. Now I'm just adding inside it demo component, right? This is my demo component. Here I have a CQ dialog. This is my CQ dialog, right? And here this is what, this is nothing but the drop down. This is nothing but the drop down, and here I have a two values, two options I have. First one is the title and the heading, and here you see, so when I have selected the title, it will come the title. Okay, and if I select the heading, it will change this container. This is the content, it will change. Now here you see heading, see it has changed to the heading. So this thing we have achieved by using the client library only. This is the thing we have achieved by using a client library. Now how we have done? Somewhere we have a Clientlibs. This is the component. Inside this component, here we have a demo component. This one is our component we have inserted, right? And here we are using a component level client library. So firstly I have created the folder here, and after that here we have created the Clientlibs, and here we have given the name. Okay, in this case it's not in the string. Oh, maybe because of this reason our client library is not loading. We have added as a string. Okay, dependencies and the embed, it should be in this multi, but this category, it shouldn't be in the multi. Here you see, here we don't have a op symbol here. Okay, yeah. So here inside that, now I don't want the CSS. So here what I'm doing, here I'm defining only the JS code, and by using this JS only, we got this. Double click over here. Yeah. So firstly, we need to know where is our secure dialog. Yeah, this one. Here you see. Firstly, we have a selection type. Okay. How we can create a selection type? By using this select. Okay, so we knows that how to create a field. So in this case, we have created the drop down by using this select. Inside this drop down, we have a title and we have heading. Here you see, we have a title. This is the text is a title and this is the value. Just like that, we have a heading. This is the heading and this is the value, right? After that, now whenever user select, whenever user inside this selection type, whenever user select the type, in this case, this is the field we need to appear. This is the field. See here, this is the field. This is nothing but the text field, right? Here we have a field label that is title, and here this is the descriptions. So when user will click this title, it needs to be appear this title. When user will click this heading, it needs to be appear this heading, right? So just like that, here we have field label, heading, field description, heading, and here we have defined the class. See, so basically if you want to define the ID and the class and you want to perform the CSS, otherwise JS, in this way we will create the class. See here, we have users here, granite colon class. Yeah, and after that, this is the JS code we have defined. Okay, so basically here we have a selection type and here also we have defined one class, and here you see inside this class we have defined this demo component selection type. So if inside this demo component selection type, in the zeroth index, which one is the zeroth index? This title. From this selection type, which one is the zeroth index? This title. Okay, if this is the 0, and the another thing, if that value is the title, then you just do one thing here. We have defined this title. See, this is the ID we have defined, right? This is the ID. You just simply need to show, and you have to hide the heading. That's it. This is the heading you need to hide. Just like that, from this option, if user has selected the heading, okay, so whatever you will select, it will come in the zeroth place. So if you have selected the heading, it will come in the zeroth place, and this is the value. And what it will does, it will